Abstain, somewhere around there.
Okay, recording is working. We're gonna call the May meeting of the Bartholomew County Council to order. We'll begin with the invocation and the pledge led by Greg Patterson.
Bow our heads for a moment of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to serve. We thank you for the opportunity to serve our community, the folks around here in Bartholomew County, and the people that work for the county. We just ask that you would guide us, give us wisdom, and make the right decisions for all those involved. Bless our time here together and give us all your wisdom. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I
pledge
pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Greg. We now will move on to the approval of the April meeting minutes.
I second that.
Mark has moved, George has second. Any discussion or questions?
I think my corrections.
Marcus made
Yeah, they were all, thank you.
Yep.
Good work.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Appropriations. We will start with Major Markosha. No.
I think he went camping.
Yeah. I got a funny story for you too.
So Brandon, you're gonna bring his business before us now?
I am. So we have a request for special appropriation. We had a pretty large expense come up last month where we had some issues with the washing machines in the jail. And we were in the process of getting quotes and estimates to have one of those repaired and end up losing another one. So we have replaced all three of the washing machines, and these are, as you can imagine, it's not something that you can just go to Lowe's or Home Depot or something and buy. They're a special type of machine. They're industrial, and it comes with a significant price tag. But for each washing machine, it was right in the ballpark of $20,000. We have replaced, or we've ordered all three replacements. They should be in next week. But our request would be, since that was an unexpected expense, that our budget would take a pretty significant hit, would be to have that money put back into our budget. And I've got those budget numbers and the exact amount. The grand total is $61,150, and that's for all three machines. And I believe, Daleen, you have the budget line numbers.
Yeah. Yep, both of those are down there. Any questions for Brandon?
I'm assuming that these are commercial machines?
So, George, I've learned a lot about washing machines over the last month. They actually don't even consider them to be commercial machines. There's your residential models, there's commercial models, and there's industrial models.
Industrial
These are industrial.
Okay.
They
Thank
are the price of a car, and they're fancy looking machines, but they wash about 15 to 20 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
When I talked to the sheriff, I suggested, like what Todd did, to just, if we could put together a list of the things that we're gonna have, the capital expenses that we know are gonna be needing replaced over the next 5 years to be helpful.
Yes, I agree.
And I know you can't narrow everything down, but just give us a rough idea.
Yeah, and we have started doing that. We've actually got, it's a small list right now, but it's the newer section of the building is roughly 20 years old now. 18, 19, 20 years old. And so a lot of the equipment in there that is original is obviously aging. And so we've gone through and started trying to figure out, identify what those pieces would be and start getting vendors to come in and give quotes and hopefully be able to make a priority list on, what's being replaced the fastest and start working that into our budget year after year.
Thanks.
There's no further questions. I'd like to go ahead and make a motion for the additional appropriation for $61,150.
Second.
Mark has moved, Greg has second. Any other questions, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Brandon.
Thank you.
All right. Danny. Hello. Yes.
Once again, I'm here, I got, unappropriated money in my fund, I'd like to have appropriated, starting with the Q Bridge, there's, $2,576,305.71. Most of this is gonna go to the construction inspection on Lowell Bridge. Doesn't bid till next year, but we're gonna sign the contract this year, so I'm gonna need the funds to sign the agreement. And then, $839,305.71, that's for our bridge inspection contract that we have to do. Well, we have to do it every year anymore. It used to be every other year, but now several of them get inspected every year, so it's. And then, $27,000 for my group insurance. I'm the only one that comes out of Q Bridge, but so that's my
Okay.
insurance.
All right. Any questions on the Cume Bridge Fund for $2,576,305.71?
I move to approve.
Second.
George has moved, Greg has second. Any questions or discussion for Danny? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, local roads and streets.
Local Road Street, yeah, there's $476,000 in there I'd like to reappropriate. 400 of it, 400,000 is gonna go to our, into our paving or chip seal program, our road maintenance, and then, 56,000 for road equipment and 20,000 for equipment rental.
Okay. Any questions? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mark has moved, George has second, to reappropriate $476,000. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you. And it's not like I don't like to come see you, but I hope I'm not gonna have to come back and shuffling money. This gas tax holiday, I'm losing about $250,000 a month, so,
Okay, so you're losing
You're losing what? How much? a month?
$250,000.
well,
A month.
247,600 is what I guesstimated is. The funds aren't coming in with most of my money comes from the gas tax, so.
Right, okay.
So,
Is there anything Pia and Daleen we can do to help with forecasting so that way we can
I don't
anticipate?
know how long it's gonna last. I mean, it's been only a month.
I know,
I have
But
no
he
idea.
just-
Call
he-
the governor. I mean,
Well,
it's
no,
his
like-
idea.
just with his spending, like, because we're 2 months now, we're gonna have it suspended, right? So it's gonna be.
Well, the first
a half
month, it was
month.
just the sales tax on the gas, and that
Right.
was only affecting community crossings.
Right,
And now it's all the gas tax, so that's where all my MVH and local road street comes from.
A
right,
little bit of surplus here. It's
Uh-huh.
gonna go. It's quick.
right.
Has he indicated if the state was going to cover some of those expenses from another fund or?
I haven't seen any details. I know, and these numbers are based on not any, I don't think there's any break on the diesel fuel.
No,
If they put it
not
on
yet.
diesel fuel too, it's gonna be really bad, but, just isn't bad enough. It's only a month, we'll survive somehow, but if it goes on longer than that, it's gonna be,
Agree. Thanks for that heads up, so we can check in with how your fund is doing, so that way we make sure we can keep rolling with the roads.
Well, you already appropriated extra money
Right.
That's
for
what I was-
paving. That extra amount has not yet been awarded, so ratchet some of that back since our other revenue funding is lower.
That's
I
true.
mean, that's a way to do it.
Okay.
I mean, the governor is saying, you're not gonna get the revenue. Okay, what happens? And you just don't spend as much money.
Right, totally.
No, I mean, but I can't forecast what the governor's gonna do.
No, I just wanted to forecast like how his spending's going, so that way we know how much in the rears we're gonna be. But I agree, we can't predict what the governor's gonna do.
Yeah, I mean, the big ticket item though is the extra amount of paving that I think today they just let out some more bids, so.
we
is
just
that
did the
correct?
notice, we just did the notice of
Notice of
bidders.
bidders
It's not
today.
gonna bid until June,
Okay,
the second round,
perfect.
So maybe by then we'll have a better
Idea.
By
idea
budget process will
how
be.
long it'll last.
But I mean, we're also, on again, off again with the war with Iran.
I know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's where your gas prices are going. And, I don't under, I wonder if the governor understands the repercussions of waiving the gas tax. There's a ripple effect.
Mhm.
And while it may save people money at the tank,
It's gonna cost them the other
and
spot.
it's a political ploy by the governor, it's going to affect us because we're not gonna be able to fill the potholes. So do you want to, have your rims dented and have to get new tires,
Mm-hmm.
or to save anyway?
How much of the total that we have allocated for, local roads have we got for bid? Is it one plus the 800,
Right.
whatever?
Well, we ended up getting that extra 800 from the state for the first round of overlay. That contract came in, we had about $1 million into that and 800 from the grant.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This one we just put out is another $1.5 million worth of overlay.
Okay,
So, we're a little over 3 million between the two phases.
hopefully we'll have more clarity by June.
Yes.
Thanks for that heads up, Andy. All right, Daleen.
So last month Brad was here and asked for additional appropriations. When the paperwork was submitted, they put the wrong fund number
Mm,
and they were using their mental health treatment grant instead of the court fees that they wanted. So he's just asking for the same amounts, but with the different fund numbers that are on here that are actually user fees.
Okay.
So it's not anything additional than what he asked, he just had the wrong.
It's correcting the fund number.
So what are we,
So the appropriations that you approved last month for him, we did not appropriate those monies because he had the wrong fund number.
okay, got it.
So we had to advertise the correct fund, and now he's just asking for these user funds to be appropriated. So I would assume you want to do them each separately.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
the first one is the mental health treatment court funds, and that's fund number 2003 for $3,000.
Make a motion to approve.
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
The second one is the drug court fees, Fund 1147, in the amount of $14,750.
Move we approve the drug court fees.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mike gets the second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And the Veterans Treatment Court fees, Fund 9108 for $4,000.
So moved.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, transfers. Lake Health Preparedness Link.
Hello, thanks for having
Hello.
us. I did, President Meyer, want to present our Bartholomew County Health Department annual report.
Oh,
One-
fabulous.
One hard copy.
Perfect.
We used to send them all by paper, but we're going to send them out to all board and commission by electronic.
I love it. I'm here for it.
There's a lot of good data in there. A lot of what we've done this past year. So as far as what we're doing, we're just transferring funds from one account line of our public health preparedness fund to another to pay for a contract employee who is helping us make the transition of the bookkeeper and assist the new person in
Yep.
their transition. But for $11,000.
Any questions for Link? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Mike has moved and Marcus has second to transfer $11,000 from the salaries to professional services. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you, Link.
Thank you much for all you do. Appreciate it.
All right, pretrial.
Wait,
Yeah.
$1.16?
Is that a,
Okay,
is that
no.
a typo?
okay.
Come on.
No, so this is
I
a grant
approve.
fund that they have to change fund numbers every other year.
Oh,
So they had $1.16 left in Fund 9,003 in our legal services, and so they're just moving that to the new fund 9203. And we have several grants now that we have to do that every other year, split the funds. So they're just transferring that amount over.
But this keeps it clean.
keeps it
Oh,
clean, you're
yeah.
right.
Michael needs more information.
Yeah. That's such a large amount this time. We gotta.
Yeah.
scrutinize a
The
little
the
bit.
materiality is getting you.
Oh, man. Do I have a motion?
We'll let Michael make it. See.
So moved.
All right. Mike has moved, George has second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Todd, you're in the hot seat.
So, last year, if you'll remember, I brought into council kind of a 5-7 year plan of what I anticipated some expenditures that normally aren't budgetary items. And 2 of those were very expensive projects. One of those will be that we need to replace our 911 phone system, and I anticipate we're gonna have to do that in 2028. But the other large item was to replace or upgrade our core emergency radio communication system. And I had that slated to be replaced upgraded or replaced in 2030. January of this year, Motorola contacted us, and they informed us that in 2030, the current system that we use, which is our core system, will no longer be serviceable. And that system is used by a majority or a significant amount of PSAPs in the United States. And so they were very concerned that in 2030, when this is no longer going to be serviceable, that they will not be able to meet the need of replacing these communication systems throughout the United States. And so they asked if we would consider replacing early. And I said, well, give us some information and we'll look at it. So the first quote they came back with was about $1.1 million. And I anticipated, when I give you the information, it was probably going to be between 750,000 and 2 million. So they come back in at 1.1 million. To me, it just didn't make a lot of sense that we would go ahead and change at that price without some type, basically leaving 3 years early without some type of concessions. So for 2 months, we went back and forth, and we finally were able to get them down to a cost of $659,000, approximately a little just shy of $660,000. And so when we got to that price, I called a meeting of the joint council
From the county side, Commissioner Kleinhetz, Councilman Gorbett, and the auditor. And on the city side is Mayor Fredon, Frank Miller is the liaison to the joint council, and then Regina McIntyre. We met a couple of weeks ago and I presented this information to them to see if they thought that we should maybe move ahead. They asked me to get with Motorola to try and get a few more concessions, which they did meet us partially. We were asking for them to sign basically a contract, a maintenance contract through 2040. The original contract they gave us was going to be through 2034. They split the difference with us. They came back and they will give us a maintenance contract through 2037. And then they also agreed to cap the maintenance contract at $60,000 a year for the last 3 years of that contract. So overall, if we decide that we do want to go ahead and move on, we know we're going to have to at least replace it in 2030. We know we have to do that because they're not going to service it anymore. We do have the opportunity now to do that. I anticipate if we do, we'll save about $300,000 to $319,000. The way it would break down, we got it down to $659,751.60. And then that is split between the city and the county, 45-55. So the county portion would be $269,888.22. And the city portion is $362,863.38. So that would be for the initial equipment and software and training and all of that. Then the other side is the maintenance contract. The maintenance contract is something we currently have. It's a budgeted item every year already. And so we worked with them because the numbers they originally give me for the maintenance contract was ridiculous. And so we were able to do two things with that. We got them to take about $100,000 off of the maintenance contract over a 11-year period, as well as cap the last 3 years at $60,000. And so, like I said, the maintenance contract is already a budgeted item. I would probably need to add, $2,000 or $3,000 each year as it goes up. But I just really wanted to come before you today to tell you that we do have that opportunity. And like I said, we met with the joint council, and I've had some conversations Friday with city government, and I'll be talking with them again later this week. I anticipate make sure that we're all on the same page. And so just wanted to bring that before you, kind of tell you the opportunity we do have if you decide that you do want to move forward with that, and then answer any questions that you may have.
I might add what Todd had there was the part of the timing of all this is if you look at Motorola as a company, they're wanting to get this infrastructure and everything in place in 2026. They're dealing with hundreds of other businesses. So this offer was out. And then when we had our meeting the other day, I told Todd come back and explain to everybody, because the contractual part would have to be in place sometime in June to over the different payments between now and the end of the year. And then the city's got to look at that because they were initially wanting to kick it to 20. They wanted it to be in budget, and they're still trying to work that out. Todd started Friday after I talked to him, working with the city on that.
Yeah, so for the concessions they give us, they really want to have the contract signed in June of this year. And so, which we can meet. I talked with Baleen to see when the next council meeting is, which is June 8th, I think. And then I'd have to get on the commissioners meeting, and they're aware of that. We can meet that timeline. But that was part of the deal, is that they wanted to get that contract signed, and then the payments are broken up in when it's ordered and when we get it. And I've already talked to Pia, and she has that information as well. So
correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that, we have to approve this thing, so does the city. If the city does not approve that, what happens then? We lose out the,
So technically, I report to the county commissioners and county council. And the county council is the ones who make the final decision, whether they want to go or not. But I'm hopeful that I don't have to cross that bridge. I'm hopeful
the
that
city
we're all,
normally has followed suit by and large.
yeah.
But by
Yeah.
understanding that they were kind of reluctant to spend the
There
money
was
at this
some,
point.
there was some questions and, like, that's why I anticipate we'll be meeting again this week. It wasn't, it was just somebody had voiced some concerns. And so I didn't take it that they definitely weren't gonna do it. I just wanna, we'll get everybody on the same page.
And my understanding is that we pay the whole bill and then the city compensates us back for their piece. Is that correct? So the initial big money is paid by us.
So, yeah, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe what happens is the auditor's office bills or invoices the city every quarter. So whatever I spend in the second quarter, whatever, then that's what they would bill them. And so unless there were different arrangements made, I would assume that would be the same.
That's a substantial savings. So it seems to me that we ought to do it.
I think it
That's,
would just,
I mean, that was my thought on my initial reaction when I saw it, was it makes sense to go and do it because they're giving us such a good deal.
Exactly.
To
Well-
do it early and frankly,
And-
I mean, then we'll have better technology.
Right, and not only that, but it also, that system is critical for us to provide the services to the community and for the law enforcement and fire department and others to be able to respond to whatever residents need to
The
have.
one concern that was voiced about going ahead and changing early, I get it, but it was like, well, are we gonna, if we go ahead and sign, are they gonna come back and send you in 6 years and say, oh, now you gotta re-up?
And who knows where we will stand in line with everything
Right.
else that they need.
Well,
to
and I feel
change.
confident, so the current system we have, what came to market in 2013, and they're going to deadline it in 2030. So this system, if we look at history, is 17 years, and so I really don't have much of a concern that they're gonna come back and say, oh, this system's no longer serviceable. It could happen, but
I don't know how the rest of the council feels, but I think that it's no brainer that we ought to do it.
is there gonna be any conflict in your communication with all the trustees or the volunteer fire departments?
so no, there's no change in the field for police, fire, EMS, or there's no change out there. It is all the interior guts that makes it all operate. So no, the field units will not see any change. They don't have change radios or anything like that. It's all going to be on 911. Have to deal with that.
So basically, I think this is just a preview for Todd, for us to have the core numbers and what city's gonna do. I know Frank, when we were in the meeting, was positive, heading that way too. So I think tonight is an informative thing, then final numbers in June.
Yeah, we
budgetary.
need to vote in June though.
Yeah.
We need to get a consensus to move
Yeah,
forward.
I
We
mean,
need to have a motion for this, right?
no,
I
we're
just
not
think a
advertising
consensus
this,
for the
so-
commissioners,
Okay,
so they can start working on the contracts and everything else, so.
so basically by consensus, we will be in agreement to present for the next
Not,
council.
Well-
meeting.
not formally, but
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
we're,
willing to move forward, and a show of hands, that's where I'm at,
And so am I.
so, sure.
Just one piece of information, just to keep in your back pocket. So in 2028, and I've already had several communications with our 911 vendor. We are going to have to upgrade, and fortunately, it's going to be an upgrade, and we're not having to replace the whole system. It's cheaper that way. And I talked to the joint council, and I talked to our vendor. So I anticipate for putting in for my 2028 budget, the phone issue. But I can tell you, the good thing is, and we would have a couple of different options. In the past, the last two systems we've had to purchase, before I was there, we had to finance with Motorola or on the finance, AT&T finance company. We had to finance that 911 system for 8 years. And then in 2020, when we purchased this current system, we were able to get monies. And so we paid it all off up front. We will have the option again in 2028 if we want to pay it up front. But they also are going to allow us, if we want to pay that in annual installments over 5 years. So just to give you a real, this is real rough numbers, but I anticipate it's probably going to be somewhere around $875,000 total to replace that system. And then again, they would allow, we could make annual payments. So the county portion, so in 2028 would probably be close to $150,000. And then the next 4 years would be about $61,000 each year. So, but just keep that in mind. I know that is going to be coming up in 2028.
Is there advantages to just paying cash versus the 5-year? Like, does it cost the same amount? You know, like, what are the financial advantages to those options you've laid out for us? And it's
So-
okay if you don't have the answer today, but
So I know the first system before I came there, we were paying finance charges to AT&T. They did tell me, I asked if we went ahead and decided this time to go ahead and just pay it all up front again, is there any type of advantage? They said there would probably be a 2% discount on $875,000. So.
So go back and you're gonna get us 4 by that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back and forth. a
you
lot.
seem to be a good negotiator.
Well,
I
I don't know
believe
about
in you.
that, but I just wanted to let you know that is coming up too, and that may or may not figure into your decision on moving forward now with this radio system.
When we build budget, if we
Mhm.
know that that's coming in 28, can we budget 50% of that in 27 and 50% in 28, knowing that we're gonna pay it out in 28? Can we start building that into the budget now?
Yeah, I think we'd probably want to put it into the rainy day fund and earmark it, but I'm looking at Pia and Daleen to be like,
I mean, you can.
It's sort of like, and I hit the big pause on that because when we were talking, when Lee and I were talking to Reedy, we were looking at 5-year plans and all that stuff.
mhm,
And then when our initial sit down, you got it scheduled in
Mhm.
June sometime,
mhm,
is these 5-year ticklers. And
Mhm.
looking what Senate Bill 1 does to us and how much we're gonna be able to spend over those 5 years. And we're gonna have to move those cubes around a little bit with our revenue coming in. So it's,
Yeah, I'd like to be able to anticipate in advance these larger expenditures and already have the money kind of set aside, not just budgeting it in the year that it happens.
I agree with you.
But
When I'm even thinking about the riverboat fund and like, what are other,
options.
So do we have consensus?
yeah,
Looks like it. Yep.
So I will, like I said, city government does know I need a firm answer by the 21st of May because I need to give Daleen by the 22nd to get on the June 8th
perfect.
council meeting. So I anticipate they'll go well, but I will keep you informed.
Thank you.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you.
Want to go with me to buy my next car?
All right, Pia, financial reports.
So Daleen is gonna share her screen. And I believe all of these reports are in your shared file. And some of them are quite voluminous.
Do we know which they're titled?
This one is gonna be the first quarter analysis.
Thank you.
So this is the download that we now have out of our financial system that shows by fund, so by fund and by department. So the first one that comes up is the clerk, because these are by location code. Clerk is number 1. And so you see the original appropriation, any carry forward appropriation, the expenditures, then the unexpended balance, and then a percentage. And this one doesn't have the warning on it.
Because it doesn't. Let's go to.
Do you see it?
No, I don't see it. I don't think
Is it
it's,
under county council meetings instead of May?
That's okay.
no.
So you can see that, you can see the difference in the unexpended balance, unexpended percentage. So column K. So if those are significantly less than 75%, it may give you some pause.
Mine's significant.
So I would say significant, go to youth services center. So for example, as I was reviewing this, there was one that was 17% right there.
That's.
And I'm like, whoa,
Okay.
So what,
you only got 17% of your budget in that line item left.
holy smokes.
That's excessive.
And we're only a quarter of the way through. So that threw up a red flag. And I'd done a if then that would give like a little warning. I mean, it didn't make a noise, but it was like said warning. And I don't know why it locked off on this one. So that would be a concern. So actually, Daleen said that now that we're, another month through, that particular line item has actually gone negative. And so we're watching those and saying, hey, department head, what's your plan to transfer money? Or are you gonna have to ask for an additional?
Is there,
Let's
in
be
this
aware.
situation where that line item is turning negative, is there other line items where they can find this budget?
Yes, so if you go up like relief workers right above there,
Yep,
they've only expended 94% of that line item.
got it. Perfect.
And so that's where
Not-
we can take a step further and kind of do the math.
No,
To see
absolutely.
how much you would move.
Well, and in this situation with the youth service center, is it because they don't have enough, like, do they have open roles? So the current staff they have are having to work overtime to cover shifts? Like, is
I'm
this,
not going to opine on what's going on at the youth services
Okay.
center.
I just was curious if we know if they have open head count.
But their overtime is at 17% versus.
Here's the thing, council, we're giving y'all that information.
Nope.
If y'all have questions, call the department heads.
That's exactly what I'll do.
Because those are the people that are supposed to answer these.
No. I love this.
I can give you my opinion on it, but that's all it is. It's an opinion.
So can you tell me where to find this?
Yeah, we can't find it.
They're putting it in the folder now.
The May
I thought
folder?
It was in your May folder, but.
Okay, it'll be in the May folder. Perfect.
It will be, yeah.
I get it. I get it, ladies. Okay.
So anyway, this is something that we collectively, I really didn't do anything on it except look at it and go, hey, this is kind of cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. So as the accounting group learns more, sees more, digs into our system more, thinks about what information we can give to council so that, we can analyze and see things on an ongoing basis, this is something that we came up with.
Can I make a request?
Sure.
I can make a request, if you can do it. If as we're going through here, if it's a yellow line, so anywhere below like 50%, tag it yellow so I can kind of scan through.
So that's where I had, I don't know what happened. I had done in L, an if then statement, if column K is less than 75%, it was supposed to say warning.
Okay.
Is this? the
Now,
only-
I'm not sophisticated enough with Excel because I'm 60 years old to be able to highlight something.
Brandon.
This is on a.
Is this the only department that you have found out?
No, we'll go, I tell you what we'll do, give Laura and I the morning tomorrow, we'll go through, highlight the
Nope,
ones
this is
that
your
we
today.
think, because there are gonna be some, like, for instance, in the treasurer's office communications, theirs looks low, but they just had a bill for all the tax billing and so forth. So some of them aren't gonna be necessarily a warning, but there are others, like this one in particular, and we can make
This
that
is
difference.
annualized, not year to date, right? So when it says that they're at 90,
That's what they have, the percent they have left in their
That's the
budget as of the
remaining
first
budget.
quarter.
On the whole annual. So
Yes.
so the The original budget was for $58,633. They've spent $3,200.
Okay,
They've got 55,000 of the 58,000.
but that overtime on 17.8%, it's not year
all
to
they got
date,
left.
it's for the year.
Right, so they've only got $13,000 left of the
Till
$56,000.
Till December.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what Daleen said, it's.
And actually, I mean, that's,
Yeah, we
That's
just,
not
I
good
actually
math
just sent
on that
emails
line,
today
by the
saying
way.
you need to put transfer in, so.
if you,
So there's more-
56 minus 62 is not 13 minus 6, right? you know, on the critical part is the 100s, but if you get in the 300s and 400s, I'm just going from past experience, looking, some of your budgetary items, will you can't expend a lot of it the first of the year or hold on to it, have 90% in November, but you spend what you got in your budget. I mean, it's an office holder, so the red flags to me would be, like I said, the personnel, if they're out of overtime or not enough for employees, but I know, I hate to say to you, when I was sheriff, I sandbagged, didn't spend my money towards till the end of the year, because I was afraid I was gonna run out, so then I started budgeting from June on, so the red flags would throw different depending on the departments.
Well, and those specific timing differences can be explained.
Yeah.
And those are understandable.
Bigger concern is when
That's
they've
what-
already spent the money.
That's what I would ask, is if there's, like, I noticed there was an insurance line that nothing had been paid on. So can you put a note out there that said, you know, semi-annual insurance payment or something that happens in May and November or something, so then we just go, okay, yeah, that explains that, that explains that.
It's like,
I know there's thousands of lines to do that with.
Thousands of lines.
But, you know, the bigger ones that concern you, that you would think would need notes, that would help us, I would appreciate. The ones that are, you know, somewhere between.
But we all know that, Mike.
70 and 80%.
We all know these things.
Yeah, well, I don't know what insurance is due.
Well, and
But
like
we
in
know
that
it's-
particular case, it could be that there's no one paying group insurance out of that fund.
Yeah, or that could have been.
I would actually
probably-
rather have the department heads answer those questions.
Well, yeah, okay. That's
Because I
Decide on
understand,
that.
because I know these things,
Yeah.
but I'm only here for 233 more days.
Okay, your report is in your folder now.
Yeah, this is super helpful.
However,
2026. I give Michael something else, more numbers to juggle with.
however, it seems to me, back to Pia's point, if we have more than one department that is already spent more than its budget, we need to have them come over here and find out more about what's going on and how they're gonna do it. And in some cases, they may have to do something drastic in order to stay within budget.
Yeah.
Or find out a way of how do we.
Yeah. Well, it's good for them to have a plan.
Yeah, I really appreciate you doing this, and you're distributing this to the departments, right? So we can see that.
We will at your discretion if you'd want us to. I mean, here's the thing. Every department has this information. They can get this information through the system,
Yeah.
and they should be reviewing this information every time they submit claims. So they should see this.
When they submit.
Now, they
their
do or
claims,
not, I don't know.
And when they submit them, it tells them what their balance, like, so they can see this is what you had, this is what you spent, and this is what's left.
Okay.
But anytime, and Laura works with them a lot just on their balances, and if we see anything, you know, we send emails and say, hey, this account's getting low, we need you to do something about it.
Yeah, look, do some consideration on this.
So something else that the department came up with were some areas that we wanted to look at to see if there's anything that's happening, especially with the economy. So we looked at utilities. And so these are the last 3 years. And we also, the WEX Circle K, that is our gas. And as we all know, over the last month, this is just first quarter, over the last month, gas prices themselves have gone up. can't remember, I think we talked about this, Laura. That usage was somewhat down in April though, wasn't it? So some of the departments are already ratcheting down their driving to try to mitigate that difference. But.
What's this file called?
This is the utility comparison.
Thanks.
And I like this,
And I think there's a second page to this too.
and this does it in relative dollars. Is the information available like under Duke with kilowatts and, gas volumes? So is the quantity available also? Because if the price is up, but the actual quantity is down,
Oh, valid.
then we're getting more efficient in what we're doing. It's just a function of the cost of
Per
the
unit.
right? And we can't really control that.
Mhm.
But if our usage is way up, which then drives the dollars up, we could then say, well, okay, what are we doing as a service cause the usage to be up? So it may or may not give us a different picture.
And we don't capture that information in our financial system as of now. We'd have to go back and build that from the actual invoices. I mean, our biggest user of Duke Energy is the jail. Our biggest use of Columbus City Utilities is the jail. They want to take showers over there. They want hot water, they want electricity. Places of money, but. So, I mean, if you want to get deeper in the weeds on especially like on the WEX from Circle K, you can flip that around and it's in spreadsheets and you can figure out that, you can see how far Chris Lane is driving.
We have that information that comes with the bills, we just don't have it. in
You have a
the report.
document.
But yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, again, if you wanted to get down really, into the weeds on some of that.
I mean, I think this is a good report, but, the quantity may also.
Yeah. And we're starting, especially in the current environment and especially with the gas, we're starting the fuel, I should say. We're looking at that to see where things are. Again, several other departments have that information. I know the sheriff's department, Brandon looks at that. Because they're obviously the biggest users.
Laura's got input on that.
We have a breakdown per department, as far as dollar amounts are concerned. It's not gonna be in kilowatts. If you wanted specifics on that, we could pull the individual invoices and find that, but.
I mean, I don't want it done just for me. Maybe you could look at it for the first quarter. If it's consistent, like, if the Duke Energy kilowatts is going up and the price is going up, then it's the same story, right? So then that solves that, and it's probably not gonna paint any different picture tracking it the rest of the year or going back and looking at previous years. But if the kilowatts are in a different direction than the power usage, then that tells us a different story. So, I would just, not that I want to call it busy work for anybody, but it may give us some insight as to the usage. And, if the jail expands its capacity and opens up a wing, for a certain area, then yeah, we would expect those to go up. But if it shuts it down, we would also expect it to go down. But if the price keeps going up, then we'd have to say, well, wait a minute, what's going on? So.
Something on those Duke bills and probably also on the center point to look at the demand cost as opposed to just the usage and to make sure that that has been adjusted appropriately. And I don't know when we last did that.
Just another suggestion.
Mhm.
If we are going to reach out to department heads,
Mhm.
let's send an email to the council so that everybody doesn't get bombarded. And then send back a response. So if you're going to contact somebody, just let us know.
I was almost thinking we need to almost divide the department heads to be a main
I
point
just
of
didn't want
contact.
everybody to go
There
through
probably
this.
should be a standard letter that each department head gets to that's approved by
Yes.
council.
But I like it. I like what you're doing here for us. Appreciate it.
Very good.
And then I believe you've got a statement of cash in there also.
An up-to-date statement of cash is in the folder as well.
Does that show that movement of the range and fund?
No,
It should.
it did not. I was looking at it earlier,
I couldn't remember because.
unless
we
I'm looking
did-
at the wrong one.
No, that's the one I looked at, because we also were pulling something out for the health department out of the rainy day fund to help their budget that was half.
Yeah, that's why I was like, it's,
Yeah, 1186 on line 35 doesn't show any activity for the year.
yeah.
That was from the first quarter?
No, the statement of cash is
It's April's statement of cash.
April's.
Yeah, it
statement
said
of cash.
April.
Or is it just reflecting April's activity?
No, let's look here. So that was probably done. She probably did this after the April. Carolyn's teaching her how to do that. So let me pull a new one and I will put it out
Okay.
there for you.
Okay,
Perfect, thank you. Any other financial reports?
That's it. That's all we got.
A
All right.
short, can I bring up something
Yeah.
I just thought of, because I know it's been on the radar, at least this time of the year. Form ones has got to be in first part of June. Has there been any direction from the council or commissioners or discussion? from
That's the
us?
next thing on your,
Yeah,
that's the
it's
next thing on
literally-
your agenda.
It's, thanks for reading the
Oh.
agenda. It's out, it's
I haven't got to it yet. I hadn't checked it off yet.
absolutely the next thing we're gonna talk
All right,
about.
let
So,
me
yeah.
right into it.
So keep on talking.
No, go ahead.
Well, no, we just need to give direction to department heads for their Form ones, like what's the consensus on what we give for salary increases? We've had some requests on, hey, we might need a few more full-time employees. Other people are talking about reducing full-time employees. Those are all things that, we want to discuss before time.
Everyone saw the email from Coroner, right?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yes, Marcus. So, that's why, what's everyone sort of feeling? Last year we gave 2% direction for
And then we
salary,
Came in at
Yes, sure.
3.
and then we were able to give 3, but from a budget standpoint, we do know revenues are going to be down this year.
I say, am I personally thinking, off the cuff, I'm thinking starting at 3, we can go down. But we've got a lot of moving parts between now and then. But to give some direction to the department heads, put in 3 and then let us our numbers and figure out we can and cannot afford because
Don't need to be communicating that they're budgeting 30.
no, it's just, they need to put on the forms to submit so
Yeah,
they can
there's something.
advertise. And
So the 2%. we
It's
went with
better to
last-
advertise on the high end
yeah,
Yeah.
than on the low end, because
I
if you
know a lot
advertise
of
on the
you-
high end, you can always reduce. If you advertise on the low end, it's very difficult to raise it up.
that's what my thought process is.
Right now, just for reference, for a local school reference, which is different, I understand, but they're saying 1.5.
That's what schools are saying.
1.5 for 2020, our next school year, and then 2.5 for the following school.
Yeah, but we also have to consider what the city's gonna be doing too.
And the state, I searched for this earlier, but dealing or PR, the state hasn't rolled out what they're,
They're not looking for anything, according to Brad, any increase.
again,
Remember, that's what he said, Kim, at our meeting.
Right. So we need to make a decision on that too.
I think Pia, correct me if I'm wrong, on your budgetary, by putting it all out, is it simpler if we put on the higher end, everybody, and that way
Yes.
you're not going in and hitting every stroke for every department, at least submit the forms at the 3%. And I've seen it for 40 years that it's a moving target anyway, but on the budgetary thing for them and the auditor's office, at least everybody starts at the playing field, then we look at employees, then we look at what we can afford or not.
From a budgetary point of view, it makes sense to go on the high end. However, from an employee point of view, if we say that we're gonna do
Yes,
3%,
that's the issue.
you know,
That's why I
and
said
we
we don't
cannot
last
afford
year.
that to go down to a 2%, that
We
is.
agreed to a 2%
down.
because my concern is that we might not be able to deliver, and like you say, it creates a
Right.
expectation. And then we decided to move it 3, which I was not in favor of, but went with consensus, because you guys also shared to our council
Yeah.
that we probably wouldn't be able to do much this year.
So,
Right.
but basically.
I'm looking at
but
last
basically,
year's
Marcus,
discussion to
the
this
thing
year.
you we need to consider is we are supposed to be looking at the budgetary process.
Yeah,
And from a budgetary process, it is better for us to advertise high, although it could become a negative aspect from an employee point of view. I think that they will understand that if we cannot afford it based on the income, and basically, we're gonna be going into an area where the new, lit
Yeah.
is gonna be lower, or excuse me,
Property
it's
tax
gonna
is
be,
lower.
it's gonna be lower, and
So-
property tax, I mean, there's a lot of ifs there that we still, I'm not aware of, so.
But
So-
answer me this, because from an advertising standpoint, we can juggle within line items or not.
Yes.
So I'm almost leaning towards where your head is at, Marcus, where we come in at 2%, because I don't want them to think they're
'Cause
gonna get
last year what
3%,
happened,
then we
Greg,
take it away.
spoke with me to help me. He knew what my concern was. I don't like an unbalanced budget when we get
I
ready.
agree
to
with
However,
And we were that way, and then we throw in 3%, and so Greg and I had that discussion, and then he was able to share, because I wasn't at the meeting at that point, that we still want to have a balanced budget.
however, we could go with a 2%, but the total advertised dollars is higher.
Right, right.
Okay, from an operational point of view, that operational point of view can be changed.
Absolutely.
Reality, we're all sitting here, it's a moving target. I can sit here and say, we can put 10% in, we're still gonna have to juggle the budget.
Yeah.
To fit what we
And,
can
and you gotta
afford.
remember, we're still representing our taxpayers too.
Right.
So it's not just about our employees. They're important, but our taxpayers are important.
Yeah.
We have a lot of, from the farming background, that just paid their tax bill. And it didn't necessarily, it was pretty steady this year, but we don't know what's gonna happen next year.
Yeah, I
So we
agree
gotta
with
be
you.
very concerned about that.
Well, and Mark and I are basically the only two that were in the council when we had to really cut
Correct.
down budgets. Thank goodness, in the last several years, we have been
Yeah, it's been,
financially very, very safe,
yes.
okay? However, that may not happen next year.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So we have to be very careful, and I'm concerned in that because we have the money, we have several things coming up. I mean, we just talked about the radio system for E911, we have the youth service center. I mean, we have all sorts of things that are coming down on us that we have to be very careful about.
I think what George is hitting, the reason I said 3% was, is to assist the auditor's office, countywide department heads putting it in. I may be sitting here saying no raise in 6 months, but it's getting a budget thing to get it in, let's get the numbers and get the thing moving, because we could have department heads all over 5%, 7%. I don't know.
You can accomplish the same thing, Mark, by saying 2% and then increasing the
Correct.
operational higher than what we're expecting to be, okay? And then you still advertising on the high end.
Yeah,
I know it's not really a vote, but I'd like that consensus.
yeah,
Mike,
I'm
go
same
ahead.
with you, Marcus.
My concern is that if we say 3%, and we say this is just for budgetary purposes only,
Everybody's thinking they're gonna get.
everybody thinks they're gonna get
Yeah.
3%. And I just don't want to mislead people.
Right.
I don't either.
I would rather say, let's start with 2, there's a chance it could go up or down.
Yeah.
I'm with
Which we
you.
did last year, and it was very successful, I think, for
Yeah.
our folks.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they found out what the city was getting, and then we were mindful of it, and so then
Matter
we.
of fact, if I remember correctly, at the very last moment, we found out that the city was doing higher than what we had programmed, and we went ahead and increased it.
Correct.
And don't forget also that we have tried in particularly to keep the deputies pretty much competitive with the state and with the city. So that may require a something different. What that is, I don't know at this point in
Yeah,
time.
we'll just have to wait and see.
I think we go back, because we said this the last 3 or 4
I think we
years.
have a consensus
Since it's
of
up
the
to,
two.
But also when we put it out to, we will consider that our employees are our most valuable
Oh,
asset.
totally.
And that we're given some guidelines at 2%, it may be up or maybe.
If you think about it, Mark, we don't produce any widgets, but we produce service. And the way you produce service is by having the best employees possible.
But what about state-funded employees or
thank
state
you.
Well, that's another piece.
salary set where
They don't get raises.
they don't get raises?
We don't know what the state's gonna do. They could do a lot of things.
But they're anticipating no raises,
Well,
right?
I think
Th-
that's what
They're
Brett said.
anticipating, we need to decide, do we want to fill the gap for these folks who haven't gotten raises the last 3 years? They're gonna go on year 3 of no raises?
They didn't take a pay cut when the rest of the employees didn't get a raise, and they did.
Okay,
Yeah, somebody
valid
brought
point.
that up last meeting.
That's a valid point.
Which is a valid point. The other thing is it's sustainable because once we give the pay increase, then it's still gotta stay unless we
Right.
give them a cut the next year.
Or unless we do, you know,
One time
It still has to be a stipend. The only way you
Yeah.
can do it is do a stipend.
stipend. I agree with you,
Because it's
Marcus.
just a one-year commitment.
and if we're nervous about it.
And we have done that, Mark.
Yes, I know
One
it
year,
has.
one year we gave,
Yeah,
we get a one-time lump sum.
yeah, the full-time and then you had a different part-time, which at least it was something.
I think that's part of what, with reading and discussions.
Yeah, we can get
Correct.
into, yep. What else direction do you need for department heads?
We need to put something in for insurance, health insurance.
But, and there's another point also that the commissioner will have to tell us, you know, about the medical insurance, how much that's gonna be raised, if any, next year.
I know Larry was talking about the ambulance is gonna be going up.
Contract.
Yeah,
Again?
We just-
that's what he was saying.
Was it only an annual contract?
That's,
Yes,
It's
that's what he
meeting.
indicated. That's
Okay.
all I can tell you.
The other thing is, can we communicate, and maybe you disagree, with departments that if you anticipate a large expense, but you're not sure, I feel like they tend to be a little more conservative and they're not sure, so they don't put it on their budget and then they come to us in first quarter. And I feel like we had a lot of unexpected expenses in the first quarter of this year that we probably could have
Budgeted for?
budgeted for, even if they weren't sure that they were gonna get it. Thoughts?
I agree.
I think part of our discussion with Reedy was, and I'm not on that group, you've got the group
Yeah.
going, so I'm not on it, but my interpretation was in June, the meeting was gonna be able to ask all department heads that same question, so they could factor that in over the next 5 years for us, looking what our revenues are and everything else, what we can and cannot afford, and
Right.
give us options. So I think that's part of what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's gonna be done
Yeah.
in your
And that's
consultation.
the same thing with employees. Like if you're anticipating a retirement or,
Well, and part of the project the auditor's doing, when they do that big massive project where we get all of the county's assets in place,
Yeah.
we'll have a better idea when things were bought and when, I'd like us to be in a plan where when we know we're replacing something in 5 years, we already have the money for it. We're
yeah,
not billing it. We may be billed in 5 years, but we've already kind of stocked away the money to
we'll
replace it.
figured out our savings plan,
Yes.
so we don't have to finance it. So what do you need direction on the health insurance?
Just come up with a percentage.
2%.
Bless
I
your
mean-
I
heart.
mean, it's just a percentage for us put in, to have everybody put in their individual budget.
Do you think 2% safe or is it
I,
For insurance?
Okay.
7.5
7.5?
For insurance?
for health insurance.
Oh, for
because,
health.
because as you know, there are some
Defer to
departments
you.
that have to budget
100% for family and that's what, 45,000 a year?
or they need to, or they can budget, you know, for the employees they have now. And if that changes, then they have to come back, or
Yeah.
however you know, it's however you wanna do it.
We dropped below the 5 million, is that what I heard?
We did.
Yeah, we're only at we're at like $4 million in there
But
right
4
now.
now.
Because, and it's a timing issue, it's typically what it is,
Oh,
Okay,
but you know, the commissioners are the ones that take care of that.
okay.
7.5 on insurance. Okay,
No, I'm fine with that. I just,
one, one thing from Pete, Marcus had asked about the abatements
Oh, yeah.
for the broadband company.
Yes, and I had a chat with Councilman prior to the meeting. Evolving work on this is we're likely going to need to give notice and have a hearing of the applicant. We're now determining whether or not there's actually been an actual abatement that's been granted in terms of the actual practical tax. We should have more information for you probably next meeting with an understanding that there'll probably be a hearing set at another meeting for the applicant to essentially defend or object to the proposal to vacate the abatement for.
But Peter,
Yes,
help me out understand something. We did an abatement on a particular company which does no longer exist. Is that correct?
well, it's a very interesting process and we're still working on that, Councilman, so. But we'll have more for you, but I'm just outlining the process.
Okay.
To understand how that will, and once we identify the appropriate entity, we'll put them on notice to have them come before you.
Well, the situation that we're in with the wireless company is very different than what we have experienced in the past. In that, back in 2008, we had a company that we gave an abatement. They did not meet the requirements. We canceled the abatement right then and there. With the Wi-Fi, is that there's too many things that are coming in that we are not fully aware. So we may have to either reconsider making a different abatement.
Mhm.
Is that, am I?
I'll look into that. I just was focusing on the current
On the
grant,
correct.
and that was a question raised by Councilman Spear.
And that was at the request of discussions with county commissioners. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, the next thing, today, we had the meeting with the State Board of Accounts for our annual audit. You all received an email from a Jordan Schuler from the State Board of Account with what I would call survey questions about your knowledge. He's asking for 100% participation and replying to that. And I said, perfect timing. I'm going to see my fellow councilman this afternoon. So it came in right before 1 o'clock today.
Mhm.
If you guys could respond to that, did he give a date? Oh, by May 22nd. He would appreciate it. And based on the information in the meeting today, by the end of June, the audit will be done and findings. So when that meeting happens, when we evaluate any findings they may have, you all can come sit in on that.
When is that?
It hasn't been set yet. I don't think it's
I
been
think
set.
that's-
And that's Jordan Schuler?
Yes,
Yes.
Jordan Schuler. And the questions are in the body
So
of the
it's
email.
legit. That's
It's
why you're,
legit.
that's
It's
why you're
not
sharing.
spam.
Correct.
It's a real person that we need to respond and answer his questions.
Thank you.
Okay. The other known topic that we need to discuss is the Youth Service Center, and I am going to kick it to Mr. Corbett.
To bring you up to speed, we had numerous meetings, but the latest one was with the commissioners, architects, stakeholders in moving the process forward. And what happened recently, we bounced from the old, where the shelter's at, to the new, to the hospital, an old building, now over on First Street. And the consensus was the council months ago was to set aside 14 million for that project. And again, bringing in Reedy at the time when we finalized that, our procedure on funding that, either bond and cash or looking at the big picture at that time when it happens. What happened recently, they looked at to the parking lot beside the court services building over there to put the, they changed the name a little bit to the Youth Family Community Connection Center for that, if it could be developed there. What happened, there was different contingencies on that building, and then the preliminaries come in 2 weeks ago, and we had the architects talking, and the cost was the full thing with the courtroom in there, classroom, and the what's that thing called, Sallyport,
Yeah.
on the building for transports over there. The preliminary number came in at 16.5 million with 2.1 million contingencies, which the architect said that potential with some modifications and stuff, because we were wanting to get that number back down then. And what they're wanting to do is move forward and get it basically a consensus from us again at the 16.5 with the 2.1 in contingencies to keep the commissioners moving forward on the project. Lee and I discussed it after the meeting to bring it back to the council here. And if everybody's in agreement with that, we keep moving the ball rolling and get some more fine-tuned numbers on that project and hopefully get it back down to where we initially discussed.
And the information's all here in the handouts, and we will need to officially vote on this at the June meeting. So it's more like consensus. What do we want to put on the agenda, if anything, for the June? And that'll be directional that we can go into more depth.
And we're consulting Reedy on how much rainy
Right.
day, how much
Much-
bond, how
How
much.
much,
Right.
yep. Mhm. And to Kim's point, this is not going to be finished being built for 3 years. So we might, again, be able to be like, okay, we're going to save a portion over the next 3 years to make up for that 2.5 if that's what we want to do.
And
Like-
there was a lengthy discussions on part of it, and so it evolved over 3 years. I know there's been discussions with the sheriff when we were talking about security of the building and transports and everything else and a courtroom. But we're already, the commissioners are aware we're busting the seams in the courthouse and other places for offices within the county. So it's sort of like, it's cheaper to build that little, you call it a multi-service area.
Yeah.
Where maybe down the road, we can convert that if we can afford to have the courthouse there and look at different security measures and hearings. But they shell the building, we're looking what we can actually afford and what we can grow into, and it's not obsolete, like kind of when we built the jail, it was full day one. So
Yeah.
it's sort of like looking at future needs and things like that. It's given some direction.
And I think everyone needs to be aware, like, we're maxed out in the courthouse with courts right now, and we actually have a magistrate coming over from Brown County 3 days a week and acting as a court official for us. We're asking the state to give us another magistrate, but right now, Brown County, and like, there's not an empty courtroom. So if cases continue to expand and our sheriff's department keeps doing their job and our prosecutor's office keeps doing her job, like, having a place where we can have another court session is good planning.
Well,
It is.
you know, I'm in total agreement with that. And when you look at the past, in order to meet some financial demands, we have built a facility, and by the time it was finished, it was already not adequate.
Right.
Okay, and you can say that, well, look at the E911, we cannot do anything there, expanding there, and you know that we're gonna have to do something with E911 at some point in time, you know? And the same thing will happen, it happened with the jail, you know, and so I'd rather have, at the time that we're building, some space open to be used for whatever needs that may happen in the near future, because by the time that we finish that building, you know, it could be obsolete, or it will be all cramped.
But I think here in the meeting we had, the architects told where, what our number was, and hopefully we can get towards that.
Yeah.
And have more clearer picture down the road. And set a consensus to at least give the commissioners going that way until contract in place.
Can you repeat that number, please?
16.5.
The 16.5, okay, I got it
And
underlined.
so what you're asking now is consensus on that.
Yeah, do we want to vote on a 16.5, a 2.5 increase for the youth service center
That
at the
would be
June
my
meeting?
preference. Go ahead and vote as a consensus that in June, we will have, now, the only hesitation that I have is that we have some money in the rainy day fund. We're committing to several other things coming up. We have no idea how the money's gonna coming in next year. And if there are some departments who are not budgeting correctly and they have used most of their money in the first quarter, you know, we need to make sure that we don't deplete our services. I don't want to see the county, I don't want to experience what I did before with Mark of having to cut down people and, well, we never cut down
Services.
people, but we didn't any raises and we squeezed everybody's operational expenses to the hill. I mean, we cut, Mark helped me out, close to $10 million, you know, on a year's budget. And to be able to cut down that kind of money, we really had to work really hard on it. And that was a very, I mean, the budgets that you guys have experienced have lasted 3 days. We were a whole week doing the budget.
Yeah, and that's where we're gonna work with Reedy and really plan out and plot how to pay for this stuff.
And even if with the cash that we use, what is the plan to
Pay back.
start rebuilding that back into
Mhm.
the county?
Yep.
So,
I think that was, when we were talking to Reedy, it was the different buckets of money, and I know Peter Daleen said before the meeting, there was donations like 86,000 or something still in a bucket there. And Reedy's gonna look at all that and give us some suggestions of how to pay for things
Yeah.
and future needs, so.
All right, the last item is really any updates you all have that you want to share.
I have an update on Parks Department. First of all, I need to correct myself. I think I referred to the 5-year plan as being approved by item. It would be DNR. Sorry, wrong acronym. I apologize. But we do have a 5-year plan. We voted on it at the county council. Or I'm sorry, at the Parks Board. We will be bringing it to the council for your review, and it will be the guideline that they will use for the next 5 years for doing their budgets. Just a couple of little bits of information from the Columbus Visitor Center. We've gotten some information back on some income that it has brought to the community, although it doesn't directly affect like the council itself. Dunn Stadium and the BMX has generated about 2.6 million in economic impact for last year. Generated 2,100 hotel stays, 31,000 spectators, and more than 50% of those participants derived from non-local residents, and 42% traveled outside of 50 miles to get to the park. So we do have a nice little pool there, little gift horse there. And then the other thing is, I did go to the Campo, the Columbus area metropolitan for roads, and so they continue to look at that as well for tip funds and things like that for.
Okay.
roads.
One admitted thing, correct me if I'm wrong, we reduced the Childers 2 employees last year, and did come up with, they may need 1 back, or do you remember?
I don't remember now.
Okay.
And
I
keep
don't
in mind
think-
that the
yeah.
prosecutor is gonna be adding, she has basically told us that the prosecutor was gonna be adding 1 more person.
I have nothing. George,
I don't have anything.
Greg, anything before you leave? We're about done. Nothing? Okay.
The only other update I have is Beth is retiring from economic development.
I saw that.
Beth is retiring from economic development.
She handled a lot of the interim stuff while you were searching for a new.
Yeah, so Kristen and Beth are both
Oh, Kristen,
already
Beth.
left. Beth is retiring.
Beth Bailey. Effective.
May. In May. I don't know what the exact date is. I can probably find it in my email.
So the new, has 0 employees then?
They've hired some people, like they're trying to, he's got Macklin. Benedict. Just giving you all an update. Mike, did you have any, Mr. President of the
Bartholomew
County Waste?
Solid Waste Management District.
Yes.
Yeah, no updates.
All right. Anything else for the good of the cause?
You have a new payment of cash in your folder
Amazing. Thank you, Daleen. All right, with that, I'll accept a motion.
moved.
All right, meeting